Okay, yeah, the recording started. Yeah, let's go.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Doing well?
Yeah.
Exactly does that mean? Well, frankly, nowadays, if you're not learning different languages, if you're not adapting to different cultures, if you're not learning new skills like how to be a leader, how to use social media to not only gain and support your beneficiaries or followers, you're going to fall behind. So what we're doing today in this wonderful space, the Collective Impact Center of San Diego, is we're hosting the CEO and editor-in-chief of AlphaGamma, Arthur Gopak. And he's going to be speaking to us about how to leverage, content marketing so that you can gain more beneficiaries or followers, and these will be universal tips to apply to any industry. So what's great about this is you shouldn't feel pressured to think, oh, well, I'm not in the digital marketing sphere, I'm not in business. No, you can apply this to any industry, whether you work with an NGO, whether it's a business, whether you're still in school and trying to learn how to influence others and be a leader yourself. What I'd like to do right now is offer a moment for one of the representatives from the Collective Impact Center to speak to all of you and all of you on the live stream. So I'd like to invite Lewis up, and if we could all give Lewis a round of applause. He's representing the Collective Impact Center.
Hello everyone, how you doing? My name is Luis Martinez, and I'm the ambassador here, a representative of the Collective Impact Center. I want to thank everyone for coming to this event. I'm pretty sure we'll learn valuable information. I'm sure I will, and I'll be asking questions as well. So a little bit about the space. We started over probably in November, December, kind of putting the space together. And now we're starting to get the ball rolling as far as membership. So we have several offices here, as well as the desk area, the main area out there you guys just came in through. And then we also, at the end of the month, we're going to have offices upstairs. So it used to be a school, and so now they're going to move out, and then we're going to take over the offices, and so we're going to have plenty of space. Yeah, that's it. And also, a little bit about myself before I get off. I'm actually an advocate for entrepreneurship in the minority community, Black and Latino community. And so I do a lot of speaking engagements on just entrepreneurship and basically showing the difference between really entrepreneurship and enterprise and small business, because a lot of people don't know the difference between that. So thank you again, and enjoy the show.
Thank you.
All right, and one quick reminder for those who are here live with us in San Diego, California, as well as those online. We want this to be as interactive a session as possible. So please, if something comes up in your mind, you're wondering, what did he mean, or how can I expand on this to help me in my industry? Please take a note and feel free to ask us a question, and Arthur will get to that as quickly as possible. Those who are on the live stream online, please feel free to type your question, and we'll be responding in order of first come, first serve. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to invite up our speaker, Arthur Gopak, and if we could give him a round of applause. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I jump into the presentation, I just want to make sure that our online guests can hear us okay. So so guys, if you can hear us okay, if you could leave your messages in the chat boxes. Yeah, so, okay, perfect. All right, fantastic. All right, guys, yeah, thanks so much for coming. So it's, I know it's kind of funny. So the first time we're actually doing it like this. So, all right, then we're all set. Okay, guys, so again, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Arthur Gopak. I run a company called AlphaGamma. So we are a business portal for young professionals. And what we do is we create content that helps young professionals, founders, and students succeed in their careers. And we have been doing it for almost 3 years now. We're based in Amsterdam, Netherlands. And we got to know, and the reason why I'm here is that our startup got selected to Hanson Summer Institute. That's part of the USD. And so, yeah, so that's why I decided to, Bogdan and I, we met there and we decided to organize this little session today. So, and today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. So we are going to be talking about creating online communities with content. And I have a quick question for you guys. So how many of you are involved in digital marketing or run their own businesses? Raise your hand. Okay, that's like, I would say, a third. So how many of you would be interested in learning more and acing your marketing skills? All right. Okay. We're getting there. So yeah. So my goal is that by the end of the session, you will have a raving room that everyone wants to really do something about this. So without any further ado, let me let me introduce you to a few pointers. So these slides will be shared with all of you. So if you see this little pointer, right, which looks like this, it means that there is a clickable link. So you can check out the sources just to verify the claims that are going to be made here. So a quick intro. So why me? So why am I credible enough to talk about digital marketing here? So before running a media company, I consulted several businesses, like small and medium enterprises, large corporates, and all of them, they were working in one way or another. They wanted to either improve their engagement or work with young people or create an online community for one of their initiatives. And so, but I was doing it more as a consultant or as one of the team members within the company. And so, and I used to work as a journalist for 5 years prior to working in the corporate world. So, and now I'm running AlphaGamma. So in case you guys haven't heard of us before, we're not a sorority. We are, so so these are actually the finance terms that are merged together, and the name kind of stuck. So we decided to keep it. But the idea is to really you can frame us as Forbes for young professionals. So we really want to create inspirational, helpful, insightful content to young individuals worldwide. So we have been working also with some of the partners, #bragging. So we do have that. We've done some work with the United Nations, American Insurance Group, Rice University. So, and in one way or another, these organizations, well, if not struggled, they were looking for other ways how to be attractive and interesting for young people. So can you guys follow me along so far? Okay, fantastic. So before I start talking about strategies, tactics, all the advanced stuff, so I just want to start with basics here. So how many of you have heard of the term content marketing before? Okay, so for the majority of the room, so I would like to mention what it means. So this is a type of online marketing when you create a content piece, be it a blog post, be it a report, a white paper, an infographic, or any kind of digital multimedia material that eventually serves the purpose of adding value to the target group, and also generate curiosity for your brand. So, and the reason why it's effective, well, there are a couple of objective reasons why, is that one and foremost is that young people, they're researching everything online. We're called a tag generation for a reason. So we're able to look through, do our own research prior to making a purchase or researching a university or joining specific event. So that's why it's important to really be out there online, and not just say that I exist or my initiative exists, but you really need to show that you're an expert, you know your thing, and you're a cool organization or initiative or movement to join. So, and with content marketing, it's possible to achieve. So a couple of trends, why now? So why is it relevant today? Why wasn't it relevant 5 years ago? So because we're talking about younger generation today, the millennials. So right now, the millennials make up 27% of the world population. In the US alone, this is the biggest generation so far. So almost 90 people, 90 million people by 2025 will be the millennials. So it's a huge number. And that's why it's so relevant today to really be relevant to this demographic group. But because we are accustomed to technology, Instagram, Facebook, instant delivery, Insta everything, that we grow impatient fairly quickly, and this is. And this is really important thing to know, because if, for example, you're able to get the attention of an individual, of your target group, and for example, your messaging is off, it's not the right, for example, it's either the wrong messaging, the wrong product, or even the wrong timing, and it might ruin the impression of your organization, your project, or your service. So that's why the speed, whenever people are researching you and they need to see you immediately, they need to understand what you do immediately, and then they'll be able to react quicker as well. So, and because of this, because of this habit, the attention span has become really short. And the reason why the goldfish is on this slide is because the attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds, and the attention span of young people today is 8. So yeah. So, but it doesn't mean that. Don't confuse that the short attention span means that it's not deep focused. So whenever you get the attention, it means that it takes less time for the reader, for the user, or for the person you want to target to form an impression of you online. So yeah, so because of this, also you guys probably have heard many times that that digital marketing is relevant today. That many big brands are going online. Brands like L'Oreal, they even close down their shops in, for example, they closed down their shops in Amsterdam and all the offline advertising just to go online. So this is quite a radical move, but it just shows that lots of things are moving online. And so because of this, like, it means that since everyone is going online, you have to be different. And the activity online and how noisy the online environment is can be depicted in this little epic like fight. So I would even call it a war for the consumer attention. So because the internet has become a noisy place, it's really important for your organization, your initiative, your project to stand out. And when big organizations struggle with being relevant today, imagine how hard it is for a smaller brand or project or initiative to be noticed. So, but that's why with content marketing, you can really take advantage over this. You don't need like much money. Like, you can do it really cost efficiently, and get the followers and users. I'm going to talk about the examples later on. So, but for now, I'll carry on with the trends. So, but can you guys follow me along so far? Maybe any intermediary questions we have? So, are we good? All right. Oh, yes, please. Yes. One question I had asked. What's a millennial? Yeah, so great question. So I'm going to be repeating questions also for our audience. So who is a millennial? So in the US, there's a huge trend. So the way how millennials are defined are young people born after 1980. So those who are like at the moment, they're in their mid-20s, like early 30s, and they're tech savvy. They're really they're not loyal to corporations. They're loyal to the cause, but not to the big corporate. And there has been a lot of controversy, lots of discussions, especially in the US. Actually, but that's a great question, because we used to call ourselves Business Portal for Millennials. And because we do have a large following in the US, in fact, number one, the biggest country, like where we get our readers from, is the US. And we thought, okay, let's call ourselves Business Portal for Millennials. But then once we met, like people from the Netherlands or Italy or Sweden, and they asked, oh, am I a millennial? So that's why we decided to not focus that much on this term, but talk more about interests. So that's why we're calling ourselves Business Portal for Young Professionals. And then I can anticipate the question why this slide is called, why we're talking about the millennials here. Because it's easier for a person who lives in the US to explain who the millennials are. So you immediately picture, you have an impression that, oh, it's a young person, already, done with school, pursuing his or her career, and so it's easier. It's again, it's a matter of branding and perception. But outside the U.S., this is not the case. So, and because of this, because we do have varying audiences, we had to find a common interest, and young professionals seem to stick. So, but that's a great point. Really, yeah. Thanks for bringing this up. I hope this addressed your question. Yeah.
I just want to follow
please.
up real quick with that.
Yes.
Because I used to hate the word millennial. Like, when someone called me millennial, I would hate it because I was born in the early '80s, and so I would have nothing in common with someone that's like 20-something because I didn't grow up with the internet. I was in college, and we still have to go to the library and fill out the cards. So I took pride in not calling myself that, but I don't care anymore. But I know there's a debate going on with who's a millennial, who's not, who has a cutoff. So but I don't know if that kind of answers your question. But there's always a growing debate about it. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just moved closer because we don't have a shared. We only have one mic, so that's why I'll be walking around the room. So yeah, but let's move on. So. So another important aspect is that the banner ads are pretty much dead. And even though the Facebook revenue, the Google revenues keep rising, there are objective reasons why this is the case, but which I'll explain in the next slide. But I actually have a question for you guys. Can you recall the last time you clicked on a banner ad? So raise your hand. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, no hands. Well, that's exactly the type of answer I would expect to hear. That it simply confirms the fact that younger people, like our generation, has become immune to banner ads. Yes. Like, for example, Google ad, for example, if you see, yeah, there we go. So we even use ad blocker, for example. So then you can really, so there are really mechanisms to prevent yourself from seeing those ads. But the idea is that this distribution channel is irrelevant. So, and just to add insult to the injury, I wanted to ask you guys if you've heard of this report before. So the MathBot operation. Anyone? So at the beginning of 2017, a group of programmers discovered a weird activity happening around Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook ads as well, and they were able to discover there is a algorithm. So there is an algorithm that simulates the activity, as if someone clicks on the ads. And the fraud was the scale of the fraud is so it's pretty much a scam of between $3 to $5 million a day. So you can imagine how big the scale of the tragedy is. So and on top of this, there are some big names involved. I was actually surprised why no one got sued afterwards. But if you look up this report, the link is available in the slide. Encourage you to check it out. I'm not gonna be mentioning the advertising agencies mentioned there, but they are. So okay, can we move on? Oh, pardon. Yeah. So another speaking about ads as well. How many of you have heard of the YouTube channel Vegetasium? No. This is the name of the channel, but this is that guy on the right. So what he does, he usually reviews, different topics. Sometimes, the ones that cause debate or cause controversy. So it has nothing to do with politics. But one of the topics that he uncovered was that the Facebook ads are ineffective, and he gave an example when he invested some money into boosting his Facebook fan page. And while, even though he targeted, like a very specific demographic, speaking specific language, he started generating likes, but eventually there was no real engagement. So these likes came like from nowhere, and he didn't outsource this task to ClickFarm. So he paid Facebook to do the job, but eventually, instead of targeting the US followers, for some reason, people from Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, they eventually liked the page. So, and it was quite consistent during his study, his tests, and I would say it's also our case as well. So we also did some of the Facebook ad campaigns for AlphaGamma and also for some other projects I was involved with, and we got similar results. And so, but I'm not here, I'm not here to preach, ethics, etc. I'm just trying to say that this channel, this channel is not as effective. So, but I'll just move on. I don't want to dwell too much on it. So the summary of the two previous slides is that eventually you pay money, you get fake clicks, you get high engagement at first, but eventually once you look at the number of applications, there are no conversions. And even we actually, so Bogdan really was eager to try out the Facebook ad to bring more attendees here. And I said like we shouldn't. So this would be an effective channel. So we invested like $20, right? So just to see what the response is. We got some views, impression. And all of you guys came via through our activity via email, via direct outreach, via phone calls, or via or through word of mouth, right? So, so again, I'm not here to talk about ethics. So the reason why I brought up those previous methods is to show that they're no longer effective. So there should be something else that we should be looking at. So that's why I suggest you to forget everything that we've learned of before and look at the new approach. So that's why, like, one of the objective reasons why people don't click on ads, in our opinion, is why would they? Why would they care? Especially if you're just starting out, no one has ever heard of you before, either of your initiative, of your personality, of your company. So why would they click on an ad in the first place? And so we believe with a content marketing approach, you can really offer value first, even though if your organization, initiative, community doesn't have a strong enough recognition, you can still offer lots of value first. So for example, if, you're Lewis, you're starting an initiative talking about underprivileged community members, you could really, for example, talk about either the cases, how you could support young people. For example, you could say that there are opportunities for underprivileged kids or young individuals, or you could be organizing conferences, or you could be organizing, like a research or a study is talking about the latest trends that are relevant to the problem you're trying to solve with your initiative, or in general, you can be an aggregator of the trends. So and the beauty of this approach is that it's universal. So you can apply it to any industry, to any organization of any size, and you can really see amazing results. So that's why, but it's a bit different dynamic. So while with banner ads, you really talk about, it's me, like my organization is here, love me. So while here you'll be really, giving value first, and then you'll be, you'll only then people, once they'll see, oh, actually that was a very valuable tip or insight, only then they'll ask, okay, like, what do you do exactly? So once they ask this question, or this is the moment when you provoked interest, or you got curious, you got your future followers curious. So, but before I move on, guys, are you with me so far? Like, does it make sense? Yes, please.
So where between all of this, where do the posts
Mhm.
and honored for this and that.
Yes.
Where is that content marketing, teasing? What is that?
So this part has to do with community engagement. So because yes, right, yes. So the question is, so the posts like if, for example, you have your Facebook fan page, and you make a post saying, "Oh, it was wonderful to host someone at our event," or "It was amazing to have to organize a specific event within our community." So, what is it, content marketing or not? So my answer is it's not, and here's why. So these type of like, yes, these are content pieces, but the goal is to really interact with your existing community members. So sure, you can still try and bet that the community members will share this, and this way you'll be able to target friends of the friends. So, but if that would be that easy, like to do, then all of us will be sharing all those viral success stories here, right? So, but in our opinion, like I would say, it has to do more with community engagement. So once and it's actually the next step. Like once you already have people who follow you, people who trust you and know you. So how do you make them come back? How do you make it interesting for them to return? So with content marketing, you can really provoke their interest and get them sign up for your weekly newsletter or start following your social media accounts. But with those with like little blog posts, like little announcements, let's call them this way, you can really keep your community up to date on what you're up to. So does it make sense to say? Yeah.
I love that you said that the next step, because it seems unfortunately many people start with that, and without having already provided without.
Yeah. You're welcome. So now speaking about the principles. So we've done many campaigns on our own to grow AlphaGamma. We also have been helping our partners, our clients, to also grow their following. And while running these campaigns, regardless of the industry, we were able to identify these three core components. So really, content marketing is about content creation, content promotion, and content conversion. So I'll repeat. So it's content creation, content promotion, and content conversion. So we're gonna go step by step and look closely at each one of these pillars, so to speak. So so content creation. So what is it all about? So before you even start creating a content piece, you really need to think about, who am I targeting? So who do you want to what kind of people do you want to invite to your organization, or what type of people you want to use your app or product or service? So you need, and when I say identify, you can really go as old school and as plain and simple as that. You could really create a portrait of a person you want to target. So you could identify the demographic groups in terms like the age, the background, the like educational background, the income, the interests, all those things. So once you fill them in, you'll be able to really identify. You'll be able to identify. Okay, so so now we know who we want to target. How do we target? And when I say how, like with what kind of content piece could be really relevant to this person. So really, this is the very first step. So, and sometimes just because you can do content marketing doesn't mean you should. So that's why sometimes we also have these conversations with our potential partners. They ask, "Oh, we have this budget. We really want to get more people to follow us," and we tell them that it's like, you should be going to trade fairs, or you should be meeting people, at live events. You should not be doing content, and especially given how specific the industry or the people within the industry are. So that's why, of course, you can be more fancy about this because we use more sophisticated tools for tracking, but really, it can be as easy as that. So once you fill in this profile, you can really start working on a content piece. So, and also just to make it clear, so today we're talking about, when I say content, we're talking about the written content. So so just some of the examples are blog posts, white papers, infographics. I'm not talking about video content, so it's a completely different ball game. We don't do it. We don't, and it really takes, in our opinion, it's more art than science. So that's why it's harder to really measure. So it's either like hit and miss, from at least from what we've seen. But with written content, the beauty of it is that you can really, once you have an article, you have a blog post, or you create a white paper, an ebook, you can really see, okay, is it something that our potential readers, users are interested in? Yes.
What's a white paper?
So what is a white paper? So white papers are very common. Say if you're selling to another business. So if you represent a company and your clients are either in your industry or in another industry, and you want to create like an ebook for them, but it has this fancy name like white paper. So but the idea is that it's really for B2B. It's meant for like B2B organizations, B2B players. And while ebook is more casual name. So if you want to target, say, are you guys familiar with B2C, B2B, with these terms? Okay, no, okay, so.
Yeah, could you just explain that for those online?
Yes. Okay, great. So B2B is a term which means that you do business to business. So you target organizations or clients like by, you are a business and you are targeting other businesses. So, or if you have consumers, right? So for example, if you have a pizza delivery app, then you are a business that's looking for consumers. So that's, and in those instances, your business, sells B2C. So again, so B2B, business to business, and B2C stands for business to consumer. Yeah, does it make sense? Okay, cool. Yeah, so, but getting back to content creation part. So once we're able to identify who to target, who are our ideal clients, users are, then we can start working on a content piece. But once you start working on an article or blog post or ebook white paper, then you can really, you need to think about the ways, okay, how can I be different? How can I stand out from it? So, and like when I say like stand out, like do it like for real. And I borrowed this chart from the founder of from WordStream. It's Larry Kim. So have you guys heard of this company? Like, okay, so WordStream is right now, if not the biggest, it's one of the biggest growth hacking advertising agencies in the US. So, and I happened to attend one of the presentations of Larry Kim, and I borrowed the slide from one of his key takeaways. And so he shared a concept of unicorns and donkeys. So the point is, so once you start working on the content pieces, right, so you can mass produce them. So you can become a content farm, and you can really create, hundreds of blog posts. In an example of Larry, he over the course of 12 months, he created more than 300 posts. So, his premise is that you don't need to, you should get rid of the so-called donkeys and focus on the articles that generate, the biggest either engagement or get the most users, readers, etc. So these are your unicorns. So you should be able to identify these content pieces. So once you release your article, you start promoting it online, and you track the results, and you see that people are signing up for your newsletter, or they share it online with their friends. Then this you've hit the you've really hit the sweet spot. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to your question in a second, because I just want to give you an example that this is how AlphaGamma pretty much started. It started as a personal blog of mine, and I just came up with a couple of ideas for an article, right? So, and for some of the topics that could be relevant for my friends, for my generation, but I never thought much about it. So and it just, I wrote a couple of content pieces, like a couple of blog posts, and they just went places. So, and I saw the repeatable results. So I released one article, within 48 hours, it got thousands of visitors. So, oh, that's cool. Then I posted one more, got the same results, posted one more, and then I did this like for like 5 to 7 posts later. I was able to identify really that there is a bigger problem to be addressed, that there is really that this type of content is needed among like the demographic, among young professionals. So that's why, and so we are living proof that this is the approach that you should follow, and we kind of do this every day, and we also help our partners do that. So okay, so we have 3 questions here. So I'll start. Savagnos first. Yes.
So it's great what you're saying. I believe in it. It sounds like you're living proof. But what advice would you give to an individual who either is just starting out, let's say in the last few months, or let's say has less than 2 years operating their business or organization? Where do you differentiate where it's, okay, I put out an article that I thought was relevant and I didn't get many hits on it, versus, okay, is it just a bad article, bad content? Or are there other ways I need to get the word out?
Okay, so great question. So I'm going to repeat it out loud. So, so is content marketing relevant for a small organization or for or an individual who's just starting out? So my answer is like it's crucial. Like you need to do it. The sooner the better. And even not if it's not for your organization, if it matters to your personal brand. So because we also learned that eventually, if people have never heard of you before, they'll never buy from you. They'll never like invite you to have a meeting with them. So, and with content, you can really do it. Like you can really reach people who you otherwise would think, oh, they're unreachable. So, and so yes, you. Like depends like what scale you want to do this, like how big you want to go. Like if your expectations are, okay, I'm gonna write 1 or maybe 2 articles and I'll get millions of views instantly. Well, I mean, this is what the guys at BuzzFeed, Upworthy, Cheeseburger, like those type of platforms do. But you will see that you can only go viral with very specific topics. So, but I'm gonna be addressing like those examples for their own. So we had two more questions. So. Yeah. So you had a question as well, right?
Yes, you said that you take that content, you take the ones that
performs well,
and you repost those. You write new ones related to the same topic, or do you just repost them someplace else, or what exactly?
Yeah. So the question is, so once you discovered a so-called unicorn, what do you do with it? So yes, well, as you mentioned, so one of the examples is to either produce 1 more content piece or a set of articles that cover the same topic. Like you can even reframe like the same article and post it again. So this is what, for example, guys at BuzzFeed and Upworthy do. Once they spot like a viral video, photo gallery or so, they republish it, but they use a different title, different image. So yeah, so you can either create a new article that kind of follows on the same topic, or you could rearrange, change the flow of the same content piece that performed really well. Does it make sense?
You usually do that till the same results, or do you do it till at what point do you go like, okay, let's move on to a different topic?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when do you know when you should move on? So it's a hard question because it really depends on what you expect to achieve. Because sometimes if for example an article doesn't get enough traction, enough results, it can mean a couple of things. Either indeed one of the assumptions could be, one of the conclusions could be that yes, the topic is not relevant, but it could also be the case that the chosen digital channel is not relevant. It could be the wrong timing as well. So maybe you should, like if you're promoting through social media at 6 a.m. maybe you should try and do it and posting at 6 p.m. for example. And or if you try social media, maybe your audience is on Quora or more specific blogs on forums. So that's why I would say pick a number. Say I would say 10 attempts with 1 article and try and twist and see whether the results change. So, but I would say that content marketing is not like like once you decide to commit to it, you really need to devote some time to it. So you could say, okay, you can't say that, okay, in 1 week I'll achieve results. Like whenever we work on campaigns for our partners, we ask for at least 1 month. So, but normally from what we've seen so far is that 3 months is like that sweet spot when you can really see, okay, was that idea of an article or the whole campaign, like was it effective enough or not? So I would say like 1 month minimum, 3 months like would be would be ideal. So, but some experts would even argue that you need actually more time. So actually 6 months minimum. But it really depends on several factors. It really depends who you're targeting, what channels you use, what tracking tools you use. So it is a bit of a complex. And now we're just on we're talking about the first element. So we have 2 more to go. So but we had, so did this was this answer helpful? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 more questions to go. Yes.
I think you just answered my question, but you had mentioned that you noticed, so you published a post and then you saw thousands of visitors,
Yes.
and then you published another 1,000. So my question was going to be, how long do you have to give Google until you can see the traffic? Because sometimes it takes time for it to be, what's the word?
To rank.
To rank and to start showing up in Google research, results and stuff like that. So how long do you give yourself before you're looking to see whether you think that's going to be a good post?
Right. So the question is, if you once you do content marketing, how much time do you need to measure the results for search engine optimization, search engine marketing, right? So, and my answer would be that it depends, because eventually you can't influence unless you own Google. Like you can't really control the algorithm, but you can only infer like how your article gonna rank, like based on some past examples of either similar projects or similar content pieces in the industry. So it's always post factum. You can like once you create an article, or a blog post, then you can only have a prediction or a certain expectation. So that's why there's like no one answer, like one exactly. You will see the results. But what we've observed though, that when we started out, so as AlphaGamma, we were not ranking like anywhere near the 10th page, right? So, and it took us maybe around 12 months to get closer to the first page. So when we still once we started out, the keyword AlphaGamma was I'm going to wrap up the session. It's quite like this section because it's quite technical. So we're talking about search engine optimization, but the point is that it really depends on the domain rank, because you need to. So in order to be able to rank higher, you need to have strong domain, and there are tools like one that I can recommend is Moz, like Moz.com. So they have a domain ranking tool, and you can see, okay, and then you can expect, okay, if my domain ranks that high, and if I'll compare it next to similar domains in your industry, then you can make certain assumptions and expectations. But in our case, it really took time, like to build AlphaGamma from scratch and become visible. It took us like 12 months. But now, yeah. So now, once we continued with content marketing strategy, with content marketing approach, of course, you'll start getting more traffic, more organic traffic, and your overall ranking would improve.
So
yeah.
Your objective with content marketing when you were starting was not search engine optimization, was more brand awareness and visibility and start.
So yeah, so I would say this is far more important, because once you have people coming to and returning to your webpage, yes, exactly, because then Google will rank you higher. So, and it's actually the way how Google defines it. Like, so someone asked one of the VP of business development at Google, okay, what can I do to rank higher? And the answer was, create better content, or or make something more better and relevant content. Yes, exactly. So yeah, one more question.
I kind of want to piggyback off what he's saying. Does anybody know what newsjacking is? No? Okay, so newsjacking basically is
Newsjacking, yeah.
There's a topic or a hot button topic that goes on. And so what you do is you take that opportunity to kind of capitalize off of that. So does everyone has a LinkedIn page? So what you want to do, get a LinkedIn page if you don't have one. So there's a section of LinkedIn where you can write an article. Okay, you can put pictures, you can put everything you need to write an article. So you write an article about that specific topic that you may feel passionate about, or your point of view of that. Okay, and then in that article, you might want to correlate that to your website or your blog or whatever that you have. Okay, and then that's how you get viewers to view your article. So I've gotten speaking engagements off of that alone. And so you want to make sure that your LinkedIn is consistent with your brand and also consistent with what you're trying to get across. So if you're in HR, if you're an HR specialist and it shows, you might want to put articles that relate to that, to your industry, so people will see you as somewhat of an expert per se. Does anyone know what Medium.com is? Medium.com. So you want to get you an account as well. So you can write articles and stories on there as well, and then you can publish them on Facebook. You can publish them on LinkedIn as well. So
and what I was going to say, thanks for bringing that up,
yeah.
is that those platforms, if you're not comfortable starting a blog from scratch on a website, those are already platforms that are developed. It's literally almost like creating your own Facebook page.
And it's free, and so you can get real traction from that, especially if your article hits. And like I said, I've got speaking engagements off of that.
So now we're talking more about distribution, because LinkedIn is a great distribution tool, and so it's gonna be like really next step. So that's a nice bridge to the next section. And so, oh yeah, I turned it off for some reason. Yeah, there we go. So content promotion. So really, once you identified who to target, once you created the most amazing content piece the world has ever seen, at least you think so, and then it's really about picking the right distribution channel. So and when I say the right distribution channel is where your audience is. So if you want to be noticed, you need to know where the people gather online. So and LinkedIn is a great example. If you want to position yourself as an expert, definitely, if you guys don't have an account yet, make sure to create one. And Medium.com is a great blogging platform. So if you want to start writing articles or blog posts, you can really create an account there, write articles there, and be noticed by the local community. And actually, to mention also this example, like Medium.com, I have a good friend of mine. He's also one of the influencers on AlphaGamma. So his name is Zdravko. So and you might have, because you're into Medium, so you might have noticed an article like 13 life lessons. Yeah, so he wrote this article and he got like 5 million views over over a week or so, and it got picked up by many agencies, news outlets. It got republished. So this is I can after the session I could show you an example of this article, so you could have a look how the preparation took place, and also the author himself explained how he did this. But the point is, if you decide to really promote yourself, your brand, your initiative, your product or service with a content piece, you really need to be committed to it and really be strategic about it. So it's far more than just creating like one blog post and that's it. So, but getting back to distribution. So once you identify who you want to target, there are many platforms. So it's not only Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Medium. There are far more, and that's why getting back to the question. So when do you know when you should move on? It's hard to answer this when you know that there are so many channels, and you can really it's really about trying out different channels, see which channel gets the most traction, and really look into that channel closely. So most of the time it's really about identifying where the right people are, and ideally you don't want to just so just to add to your question, that ideally in order to avoid making the wrong conclusion that, what I do is irrelevant, that's why you need to have a series of articles or blog posts, like maybe 5 to 7, and then promote them over different channels over different period of time. So now you see it's getting a bit more complicated, and also and also once you have an article, you can also update the same article right on the spot. So there are tools that allow you to do this as well, but it will be in the next part. So I'll really want to. So how are we doing on time? So we're good. So how many of you have heard of the Cambridge Analytica case, guys? Yeah, okay, yeah. So the recent Facebook scandal. So when Facebook was accused of sharing the user data, so namely like very personal, sensitive data. So the reason why I brought this case up is that this example illustrates an attempt when a company wanted to target people really specifically. So they wanted to know, okay, what their interests are, like where they go, what they do, how they think, and then they want to serve the right content piece, the right article that eventually matches this mindset and resonates with people. So eventually they react. And the reason why this became scandalous is because Cambridge Analytica is a political ad agency. So that's why it got so much like it became yeah, well, it got some bad PR, so to speak. So but again, but you need to know who to target and how. So I brought up this slide again because I just want to emphasize this point that you really need to go and identify the winning topics, the winning articles as quickly as possible. So like the way how Larry Kim says that content marketing is a numbers game, I would say, because we've already posted, like we're about to reach the mark of 2,000 articles posted on AlphaGamma, and I can say that yes, like even with your best guess, you still need to do a lot of experimentation, and also things that worked last year or even in the last 2 quarters might not work today for various reasons. And this is also another important assumption, I would say, like even mindset, if you wish, to have when you're working with content, is that those things that worked, like yesterday, they might not work tomorrow, and that's why you be willing to experiment with the headlines, with the articles, like the type of topics you cover. So yeah, question.
So it sounds like a lot of work.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah.
My question is, it's great. I hear what you're saying, but what about, for again, the small business startup? They don't have time to do all this research. Is there somewhere you could direct us that would help us learn about the different platforms and how you can learn about the different audiences, and that way save some time?
Yeah. So then, like, if you and again, I would need to mention this, that the question is how many people you want to reach. If you're, say, a self-employed person, individual, right, and you want to get a couple of clients, like 2 or 3 clients per month, right? Then you can really like start small. Have one content piece and really promote that. So there's a good example. It's called Social Triggers, okay, so the name doesn't ring a bell, but I really recommend you guys to look into it. So because the founder of this platform, he teaches about social media, about digital marketing, and he also shares this point that you only need a handful of articles, and just it's really a matter of how you promote it, the message that you use, and the way how you present it, and then timing. So both strategies work. So it really depends what your expectations are, because again, with his approach, it took him years to get to the point where he could really say that, oh yeah, now I can just write one content piece or 2 content pieces, and then I get traction. But in order to build that reputation, that goodwill, it took, it would take time. So that's why you eventually what you want to achieve with small, like even if you write 1 article, make sure that that it's just 1 article, 1 channel, and see the results. So it could be really binary. So instead of like running 10 campaigns at the same time, you can really take 1 article, take a couple, like 2 or 3 channels, and see which one performs well for you. And you don't need to go crazy about this. Like you can start really small, but but still, it doesn't change the principle that you need to identify who you want to target. You need to create an article or any type of content piece, and then you need to find a way to distribute it. So how are you guys doing so far? Like, can you follow me along so far? I know it is a lot of info to digest in one sitting. So perhaps I could just carry on Okay, so we have some, I see we have some responses. Yeah. Yeah, so but anyway, so I'm almost done. So just let me finish with the third component, like the content conversion. And so what is really meant here is that once you have an article out there, like any type of content that you publish online, make sure that it's tracked. So you see how many people can, like, not just how many people see it, how many views it gets, but also how many clicks you get to your website, your landing page. You know, your application form, and so eventually you can really measure how effective a campaign is. So I really love the quote of Michael Dell: "What can be measured can be improved." So this is what content marketing is all about. So this is the beauty of it: that if you do it consistently, you get a grip on it. You can really see amazing results. But it's really important to do something with this feedback. So once you saw the results, you saw how many people click, or maybe even if there are no clicks whatsoever, then you need to start acting. Like you need to react like immediately. Is it the messaging? Is it the the wrong channel, or maybe, you know, or sometimes it also happens that you thought you published an article, you thought you shared it, but it simply wasn't published for some technical reason. So that's why, like, once you see the stats, the performance of your articles, then you can really you know, do something about your content piece. So these are some of the tools that we use, and like the ones that are mentioned on the slide. So of course there are far more of them, but if you would start with these, like, because we've also tested like tens, if not hundreds of them. So you don't really need too many sophisticated tools. If you start with Google Analytics, that will be a good start. So and that tip follows my previous answer. Like, if you start small, what kind of tracking tool to use? Start with Google Analytics. So it's easy to install, and once you start using it, you'll get the basics and the understanding of basics quite easily. Like, you know, how many people have seen your post, clicked on your article. So it's sufficient enough for the beginner's level. So yeah, like as I mentioned, so once you are able to you know, get the stats, you need to adapt like your content. So you either change the headline, change the photo, even you might want to consider changing the order of the paragraphs. So there are tools that allow you to do this, and you can really see, okay, people stop reading after a specific moment. We need to rearrange things so the application form or newsletter form would be higher. Okay. So yeah, once you do that, you'll get happy clients, community members, readers. But yeah, so just to conclude, so again, the universal content marketing principles are these: the content creation, content promotion, content conversion. So, and I promise you this is going to be like the last section. So I'm going to be talking about the success ingredients. So once you follow these principles, right? So it's important to really, like, whatever you produce out there, especially like on places like LinkedIn, it really needs to be of top quality, because eventually, you know, don't like. I think it's better, like, less is more in this case. If you are able to produce fewer content pieces, but eventually they're authentic, like, and you feel comfortable putting them out there because people associate you with it, then do that, and also do it regularly. So that's why, like, Lewis brought up a great point, that you need to publish it regularly. How regularly? That's a discussion for probably another time. But I would say, if as a good rule of thumb, so if you post something like regularly, like be it like once a week, like you know, once in 2 weeks or once a month, as long as you publish every single month, that's the only thing that matters. So yeah, so I really realized it's been a long day for all of us guys. So and there's me, you know, pouring more info here. So I'll just really quickly glance through, you know, some of the cases that we've done. Like, I really want to show how it works. So for example, we are working closely with universities. So this Swedish university, Stockholm School of Economics. So they were looking for new students to join their program. And Stockholm School of Economics. How many of you guys have heard of this school before? Okay, yeah, cool. So we've so it's famous for its finance and economics professionals, economists, but not for its social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all. And they rolled out an entrepreneurship program. So, and they needed help with putting it out there, getting more applications. So we helped them get more than 340 applications, like within 6 weeks. And what we did was so this is the final result. Like this is the final article that eventually generated the results. But before that, we had several iterations, and we saw, okay, the article, like the headline was off, the photo was not as appealing, and it was of lower definition. Also, it was a bit too long, so we decided to do something about it, and yeah, so eventually it got. So the track was oversubscribed pretty much. So the university had competition for the students to pick. Then we also we have been working with Rice University. So these guys are based in Houston, Texas. Yeah, and they have, and you might know them because they have if not the biggest business plan competition in the world, they definitely have one of the biggest business plan competitions. And this year was 18-year anniversary, and we helped them with. We also ran a campaign for 6 weeks, and we got more than 300 applications for them. So, but we also played around. You see that even here, you see that the layout of content is different, and it worked. It generated the results. Here, we also had to play around. We had a smaller image. We had different layout. We had a different photo as well. And now, like with this end result, with this article, we're able to get to that number. So. Yes.
How do you go back and look and measure and change and remeasure, and how quick do you do that?
Yeah, so for us, we can do it. So if we agree on a campaign, say for 3 months, right, 3-month campaign, we can do these tweaks. So within a month period. So because we already know what kind of audience we need to target, and most of the time, our partners they work with us because they know we have the expertise in targeting their audience, and so we already kind of know what we can make an educated guess. Okay, what headline gonna work, and that's why for us it takes probably like a month to make the changes. But we can technically do it shorter, and we've done it shorter. But then again, we can't infer. Like, so we got the data, we got the applications, but can we apply the same approach next time? So that's why we need to have like enough time to really measure the results and really be convinced with enough data points that yes, this layout, this approach works. But yeah, so we normally we tend to run like a 3-month campaign, and we need we need at least a month to see the results. So, and here's another example. So while with 2 other cases, the organizations wanted to target their programs directly. There was another organization, another private school in France that wanted to position itself as a thought leader in social entrepreneurship. And we helped them to stand out by creating a guide on social entrepreneurship, because they had so many, they had entire divisions, they have professors writing research papers, books on the topic, but they're not out there. They're just sitting and getting dust in the library. So we decided, why not to do something about it, and especially when the content was really good. So we decided, why not to create a guide, and we couldn't find a guide back in the days. So we decided to create one. And so with this guide, with this, let's call it long article, we're able to so we were able to get around 16 students for them, like within 3 months, and so we helped them make like more than €500,000 in revenues, like within that period. So this approach clearly works, and we've and you don't need to have. So I'm about to wrap up. So that was last example. My point is that the content is a very versatile tool that you can really adapt. And once you do it right, you can really use this marketing strategy as the only strategy, pretty much. Just like Louis, you got all your speaking engagements through LinkedIn. Perhaps you should become an influencer there as well. So bragging. So so these are some of the stats that we accumulated over time. So at the moment we're reaching 1.5 million people every month. So we I mentioned earlier today that US is the #1 visiting country, but of course, even though we're based in Amsterdam, so Germany, Netherlands, UK, and France, they are the runners-up in this ranking. So, and we really noticed that we're accumulating. We're creating an online community of young people, like young founders, students, and executives. Yes.
That's an alarming number. 37% smartphone.
Yeah.
You would think it would be the other way.
Exactly. Yeah. So and we're also surprised by that. Yeah. So so the number here, like how many tablet and smartphone users there are. So we also had an expectation that more people will be using, like reading via mobile devices. And but at the same time, we also looked into those reports, because there are lots of digital marketing experts. Yeah, I'll get to your question in a second. Yeah, so there were a lot of experts who say, oh, like mobile is the future, and we should all, everyone will be buying stuff online, reading stuff online. It is true that the ratio is reversed for e-commerce stores. So, for example, if you have your little online store, or then yes, then more people will be buying online because they already know the brand. Like, how many of you, for example, how many of you bought something on Amazon via mobile? Like, okay, well, there you go. So yeah, just now, yeah. So there you go. And so that's why. But in our case, it's a bit different, and that's why don't be surprised if you guys you're gonna have one expectation, and this assumption will will contradict with the reality. It's really important to adapt. Which after we saw these figures, we realized that we should focus also on having a better layout for the desktop version. So which we did. So but yeah, so. To wrap it up, so I'll just wanted to sum up real quick what we discussed today. So if you really want to get your brand, initiative, product, service be noticed, heard, then you can do so by preparing relevant content. Like once you identify what kind of content to create, then it's really important to find the right way, like frame it or present it, if you prefer it. Then it's really about offering value. If you create an article, blog post, then talk about like market insights, or some of the insights that you've noticed, or some of the like findings that you discovered. But don't say that like apply here now. It's going to be awesome because I said so. Don't do that. It's not going to work. And so that's why with content it's really like it's a bit different dynamic. So you create curiosity. So you're not pushing it forward. So give it time. So again, so we discussed this a couple of times here already. So it will take time. Aim for 3 months at least to see the first, to see the initial traction of your content pieces. And then whenever you publish something online, make sure to track it. Use tracking tools. Like if you've never used them before, any of these tracking tools before, consider using Google Analytics. So if you guys got a bit intrigued about this topic, we've actually created an ebook called Best Content Marketing Practices. So the link is also available. I'm gonna share the slides to all of you in the upcoming days. So you'll be able to check out the ebook and also get some inspiration. So this is how it looks like. So it's 20 pages of raw awesomeness, so you'll see. So we combined some of the topics, like ways how you can frame content, like so you could get inspired. Okay, what kind of article would be relevant for your project, your initiative, your movement, and so forth. So another good source that I recommend. So if you like those charts, like on unicorn and donkeys theory, then I really encourage you to check out the unicorn marketing slides prepared by Larry Kim, CEO and founder of WordStream. Also, the links are available on the slides as well. and also because we're talking a lot about how to creating viral content, how to make sure that more people discover you quickly. If you're really like, there are ways to do that, but I mentioned that you need to be talking about very specific topics, like very radical news, like really shocking facts, and yeah. So again, this is what Upworthy does. You might want to check out their slides presentation. It's on SlideShare. It's called Upworthy Virality Formula. So yeah, so go check it out. It's quite an interesting approach. And if you're into reading, so if you really like to explore more the topics, because content marketing includes not just the hard skills, how to measure it, but it's also quite an emotional struggle in a way. So that's why there are some books that are really like that deal more with the dynamic, like how to create content, it's really more about understanding the psychology of your reader, your user, and also if things don't work out, how not to let these feelings down. So yeah, that concludes our little seminar for today. So feel free to yeah, if you have any questions, yeah, if you have any questions, and also our online followers, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the chat box. So we're gonna open up the Q&A session for about half an hour. Yeah, for half an hour. Yeah. Yes, right. So, so guys, if you find this topic interesting, so we're planning to really have next events, some future trainings on the topic. And if you guys are interested in this, make sure to leave your contact details. So the guys offline, leave them at the check-in like counter there. So we have a sign-in sheet. And guys, those of you who are following us online, each one of you got emails from us. Make sure to reply back to them and say that you are interested. Then we'll keep you notified of the future events and trainings like this. So now let's talk about the questions that you guys have, please.
So my question is, I was told that we was working my own experience that the demographic that we should focus on was the people in their late 30s or onwards. So we should with the data is actually backwards. It's 35 below. How did that happen?
Yes. So before I answer this, who told you this? Like who told you to target older people? Yeah. I see. So the question is, so why is it relevant to target younger people today? Because normally the convention was that you should target older people aged 30, 35 plus, but now the dynamic changes that it's all about younger people. So so I can. Yeah, so and that's a great question, and the answer is that because the generation, like the millennial generation, is the biggest one to come. And so there are similarly more people right now, and because of this, because this demographic group is just large enough, it makes sense to look at it and really pay attention more to them instead of a smaller demographic group that probably was formed by the previous generation. So, and aside from, like, I mean, this is just one objective fact that I would mention. Another is that also the dynamic of work changes as well, that more, because organizations need to stay relevant and they try to hire more younger executives, younger people. And regardless what the media say, like what we see is that eventually organizations, they tend to employ younger people. I can say because, well, my dad lost a job, so because his organization was looking for younger people, and they thought it's a remedy to be relevant, and this organization is not unique. So this is very common in the industries. So they do this to really hoping that new executives will bring new ideas, new strategies. They'll shake organizations up and make more relevant for the younger demographic. So, but does it make sense? Okay, so we have 2 more questions, please.
Going in that line, that exact thing happened to me. They hired me, and their are working on rebranding the organization, but it's been a very hard process because they're very used to door-to-door marketing. Most of their consumers don't have Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
So here am I trying to rebrand them with Instagram and Facebook, but even our own staff, they don't even have Instagram. So I'm like hearing you and I'm trying to like get ideas because it's been so hard. So I'm like, maybe we
can
said,
talk.
like going to fairs, or I think like doing another approach would be easier because
Mm.
I mean my boss is like, I want to rebrand like right now with social media, but I'm
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, you can later on you can share these slides with your boss. Yeah. So so I'm pretty sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah. So but we had the second question. Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
As we go from more of like, I guess, digital content in terms of like video and things like that,
Yes.
how do they respond to say like an article written, that you have to read versus like the same content of that article in video form? Is it because it's not so easily referenceable, or what kind of correlation?
Yeah, so great question. So the question is why? How effective video marketing is versus versus like digital written marketing. So my answer to this would be is that at least from what we've explored, it's more like yes, you can reach more people because technically the content becomes more digestible because you don't need to you can sit sit in your chair and just relax and watch the video. But what we've also noticed is that yes, it's not easily referenceable. So that's one of the reasons that creates the friction. So what we've observed is that people are more likely to click on a video. So if they're presented with two choices, whether to watch a video or to watch an article or read an article, like we've seen that like with a slight margin, the preference goes to videos. But to create a video that will get more than 8 seconds of attention is very hard. So that's why I mean, even if you decide to advertise on on Google, right, and you only have 5 seconds. So that's why like to have a video, like have videos. Yes, technically you can have a broader reach, especially if we're talking about viral examples like how many of you have heard of Dollar Shave Club? Yeah. Okay. So if you guys haven't heard of these guys before, go check them out. It's called dollarshaveclub.com. So that's the website, the concept. And this is an example. This is one of those rare examples of how you should be doing video marketing, like viral marketing. And these guys, they eventually built like a razor company, which was acquired by Unilever. I think it was last year for $1 billion. $1 billion. So yeah, but it's a great way to really start your company. So it's again called Dollar Shave Club, and they're still operational. So so this could be a great example of a video. So but in order to reach more people, again, if you want to get we're talking about now we're talking about how to get your content viral, be it video or be it a written article. And there is no like one factor that will, so be it video or be it a written content piece, and then really there's it's really a matter of other factors like timing, the topic, the frame, like the way how you present the content. And you can do the same with videos, but what we've noticed is that with videos it really takes far more skills to do so. It's not enough to have a high definition camera there. You also need to, at least the people who I know who run YouTube channels, and they have multi-million following in different countries, like I've seen how they work, and they have a mini studio, like so it just shows that if you really want to have to target people with video, it's a very different skill set you need to acquire. Also, you'll need to invest far more, not just into equipment, but also into your skills. And also, it's more of an art. So it's really less about, it's really less about, okay, how to be strategic, etc. It's really like, it's gonna hit or miss pretty much. And unfortunately, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
before we continue with questions, I just wanted to ask if it's okay with everyone, so we meet everyone's needs. If we can switch off, so we'll take the first question, and then we have a queue of several online questions, so we'll kind of go back and forth.
Yes, guys. So guys are following us online. So we're gonna take one question online, one question offline, just to be fair to everyone here.
Okay,
So yeah.
The first question we have lined up are, what are the things that are most important to young professionals? What are their struggles and needs?
Yeah. So the question, great question. So what are the needs and what are the needs that are important to young professionals? So so really, it's there are plenty, of course, and it really depends on the demographic, like the area, geographic area which you target. It also depends a lot on you know, what kind of background those young people have, because a person who, for example, is working in consulting industry will have different needs, different struggles than someone who's working as an architect or as a or is an artist, like a athlete or musician. So it's really it's like the only good news, like I would say, if it's a young person, that the chances are that they're online, so it's very easy to target them online. So they're most likely to use social media. They're more likely to follow places, blogging platforms like Medium. And so, but when it comes down to struggles, it's really like, it's best to ask your target group. Like this is pretty much how we started with writing articles, but then we were able to ask our readers directly. So why are you following us? Why do you care? And then we were able to identify what's relevant to our group, even though it's young. But it has different struggles, different challenges than, say, someone who's, so if we're, in our case, we're building a media company, but it will be very different to someone who targets, to someone who has an app, like pizza delivery app. So it'll be different, even though it's the demographic could be the same, like young people, but they'll have different backgrounds. They'll have they might be using online differently as well. Also, don't forget that even though they're online, they might be using it differently. So is the best way to know like what they want is just to ask them directly and ask your specific group exactly what you want. And actually, you can do it right inside an article. You can really have a little. You could really give a call to action. Like, how many of you guys have heard of what CTA is? Like, okay, so call to action means that whenever you run a campaign, it can be offline or online. Once you ask your followers, readers to really do something at the end. So once they process the information, what's the next step? And call to action is really that next step. I'm sorry. Yes, exactly. So that's a good point. So this is an example of a CTA. So you can visit the slides, or you can check the slides, or visit our services page. So this is call to action. But you can do the same. You can put the CTA inside an article. You can say, guys, if you've ever heard, for example, like on Medium, if you write an article and at the end of the article you could say, you could ask a question: how do you solve this challenge described in the article? And leave your comment below, or email, or send an email. So you can still, and this way you can really do a small research and know what your demographic, what your users, followers are concerned about. But I hope that makes sense. Okay, so yes, guys, now we're back offline. So any additional questions? In-person questions, yeah. Okay, then if there are no offline, yeah, so maybe like a couple of.
So the next question they have is, are the young professionals seeking leadership roles within organizations? It didn't sound like that was an area they would entertain.
Yeah, so I think it really depends. So with at least the type of readers who we attract with our type of content, we're able to see that we're like AlphaGamma has a community of driven, energetic, curious people, young people, and they seem to really, they go from, they study at highly competitive schools, they work at well-admired organizations, but we didn't target them intentionally. So we really targeted specific interests. We're talking about specific areas that eventually bothered them. But I'm not here to speak on behalf of the whole generation, of course. And I would say the type of the reason why we're able to build the business around this is that this is the type of people who big organizations want to see in leadership roles. So that's why we could say that at least 1.5 million people who follow us monthly, they are interested in leadership roles. And of course, we can't say, by any means, we can't say that what's relevant to our community will be relevant to everyone. So I don't want. So I'm not trying to generalize. What I'm trying to say is that once the younger generation has different perceptions and also perceives information in a different way. So and I'm here to talk more about, okay, what shall we do about this? Yeah. So yes.
Thank you. Before sharing all the information, I'd like to know, do you send the same information to your subscribers than what you publish on the article? Like, how do you?
Yeah, so the question is how, like, what kind of content we're sharing via our newsletters, right? So,
Are you like doing double work, like an article and then like sending different information to your newsletter subscribers?
Yeah, so the purpose of the newsletter is to inform. Because yeah, sure, we have readers who follow us daily, but we also have readers who follow us like weekly or monthly, simply because they're busy and they don't have time to check articles as often. So that's why the purpose of a newsletter, at least in our case, is to really inform them of that, and also we use it to really promote very specific opportunities that we believe could be of relevance to our community members. But yeah, I think I forgot to answer. I think I forgot to mention the question. So, what's the purpose of a newsletter? Is it really about informing people, or is it or are we doing just double work by doing so? So my answer would be that if there is a need, so if people ask you for a newsletter and they want to be notified, have a newsletter, because it's better at the end of the day. Yeah, sure, it looks fancy that we have a big number of visitors right now. We started really small. I remember like 2.5 years ago, we had 250 email subscribers. So you start really small, and this is far more important to have a couple of hundred of really engaged community members, and make them excited. So if they say, yes, we need a newsletter, then create a newsletter, because then they'll be saying, oh, like this organization does an amazing job, and they really listen to our issues, to our needs. So it's definitely it's not just part of a brand, but really and some people, they don't have time to follow daily updates anyway. So and this way you offer them a convenient alternative. So does it make sense? Okay, cool. So yeah, online, yes.
So it says, my question is, how does content marketing for startups differ from established businesses?
Great question. So is there a difference between, oh yeah, so everybody heard the question. So, yeah. So for everyone online then, is there a difference how startups and big established corporates promote themselves? You guys will be surprised. Those who run startups, it's actually far easier for you to do content marketing than for established organizations, simply because they have already an assumption that this is what we did for the past several decades, if not a century, and then we need to it always worked. It will continue. Yeah, exactly. So and this mindset prevents them from keep innovating, keep on trying. So they're already big enough. Like, why bother? But eventually, but startups have more flexibility, and eventually, if like startups should be actually doing it a lot. So and getting back to our discussion that we discussed. Okay, if you start small, how aggressively should you be doing? So the more time you can dedicate to this, the better, because whatever, so the more noise, the more, well, not noise, the more people eventually know you. So if you publish your articles over a specific period of time and people get to know you, like for the first time, the reaction is like is going to be like, oh, who the hell is this, or like with this person, or what does this organization do? I've never heard of it before. Then with the next article, the reaction will be different. Oh yeah, I think I've heard of these guys before. Like the third article would be, oh yeah, that's I've already checked out their previous article. These are cool guys. And then this is how you build momentum and you build credibility. So so with startups, it's far easier to do so because well, corporates are doing it just now, and lots of prejudices, biases, assumptions prevent them from doing it like aggressively. And also there are objective limitations which go beyond the scope of this seminar. Why they're not catching up as quickly? But of course there are some examples of when big corporates do it right, but it's not of a challenge to startups. And for startups, it's far easier to do that. You don't need to have a whole team of marketers to do this. Like if you and a designer, or so, you know, if you like 2 people can do this literally. So I hope this, yeah. So I hope this this answers your question. So let's get back offline. Yes.
So I'm very interested in basically cross-cultural and cross-generational collaboration and national. And
Yes.
I'm wondering how much of the content that you have is something that I can take to my clients. Who, by the way, just as you mentioned, you know, they're usually larger businesses that are doing something in a certain way, and they're not necessarily in the learning culture, they're more like the knowledge culture.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me to know if the platform takes content where if they want to have young professionals know something, can I use AlphaGamma? I guess the question is any of your content kind of reaching out to the people who are not young professionals to get their voices, so that we can then kind of help and grow the young professionals so that they are able to cross generation?
Yeah, sure. It's actually great question. So is it possible to do cross? So is it possible to do cross reference, cross generational? Yeah, if you can use the same content piece and promote it within different generations, definitely you can. So because we have like we have more than 300 influencers writing on AlphaGamma, and those influencers, they're they're twice my age. So and the idea is that they can really share those insights that are relevant to young people. So they can be talking about, okay, if it's a successful, serial entrepreneur, he or she might share, some insights. Okay, like this, how I opened up a company. These are the challenges I struggled with. If it's a C-level executive, or or a director at a specific organization, specific industry, you can still, like, these people and their insights can be really relevant. So of course, it's really a question of like the topic that you're going to pick. So of course, a director will not be talking about, strategizing, on a high level when you have 1,000 employees, so 1,000 subordinates. So this might not be as relevant. But there are many of touch points. So I would love to share more examples, like once we speak privately. So yeah. So shall we? Yeah. How are we doing on time?
Do you have any online questions, so we can continue in person?
Yeah. Okay, guys. So
we have about 10 more minutes for Q&A, open discussion, and then we'll just continue into networking and
yeah. So yeah, or we can also finish it earlier if you.
So if there's any more group questions, then we'll.
Yeah.
For people starting off, you always hear, be as different as you can, right? Solve a problem, be unique, be more different than others. Is there a tool out there to measure your ideas' uniqueness?
Great question. So so the question is how to be unique and whether there are any tools to do so. So with content marketing, yes. So there are different approaches how you can do this, and this basically in this case, share more insights, and give away more value than others do, and you'll be surprised that how few organizations do that. So how, like, very few organizations, they actually talk about, okay, what are the insights that, the market insights, or what lessons they learned while addressing specific problem. And while you, for example, have, say, if you have this idea for a topic, you can always research online first, okay, whether a topic like this was addressed before. And then you can actually build on top of what is already there. This how we did. This is exactly how we built this article on the guide, like social entrepreneurship guide. So when and I understand your frustration, because this how we also thought it has to be like something revolutionary. It has to be disruptive. It doesn't. So it just solves the same problem, but be more valuable in terms of insights, tips, and so just be more helpful in terms of information. Yeah. So any more questions, guys? Online, offline? Okay.
So if that's all the questions we have for now, I wanted to get everyone together, and first of all, if we could give a round of applause for our guest speaker.
Thank you.
So it's been amazing. I myself have learned a lot. I hope all of you did as well. Those of you online, thanks for staying online and asking the great questions as well. Just a reminder, as the call to action, please follow AlphaGamma and gain more valuable tips for young professionals. At this time, we're going to be ending the live stream session, and we're going to continue into the in-person networking and individual questions.
Yeah,
so
thanks so much.
Online will be closing down. So thank you, everyone.
Guys, before we conclude, last question. So raise your hand if you learned something new, at least one thing new today. All right. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you all. Yeah, so help yourselves. We got